fact that we're still a lot of us, amazing, gets me so excited, is we should like take a little bit moment to acknowledge the fact that you're getting up. For those that are coming from far, we're driving all the way here on a Friday to be here at 9 o'clock in the morning with traffic and everything. So the fact that you're doing that's already, an indicator that you will be successful, an indicator that you want to change or you want to learn something. And the chapters that we're going to read and kind of go over it right now that we read talk about a few, items that are important to do when you're practicing these things, And it's good to have a supportive group, and it's good to do it over and over again. It's like a bicycle, you pedal, and then you can stop pedaling, and for a little bit you'll go, right? But then it slows down again. So even for me, doing this class is an amazing reminder of all these concepts, because you just go with your day and you forget, and you get off track, and you stop doing the meditation, you stop doing the visualization and all that. So having this and coming over here and being reminded all the time is like keep pedaling and keep pedaling and keep pedaling, right? All right, so I'm assuming that everybody read chapters of specialized knowledge and imagination. Yeah, you like them? Pretty cool, huh? Next time we got a box of coffee, I think, for everybody, but anyway, you'll wake up soon enough. So, specialized knowledge is something that back at the time when this book was written, it wasn't developed as much yet, right? In late 1800s, early 1900s, people just went to school, and you go to school, and you finish school, and you kind of like machine did certain things, and there were very few outliers and people that they were mentioned in this book that thought differently. They decided to specialize. I'm assuming you all read the chapter, so you know the story about Henry Ford and the example they give when they take him to court, right? I mean, that's such a perfect example of like, you don't need to know it all, right? Oftentimes agents come to my office and I'm talking to them and they're like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this too, and I just started that. And I'm like, that's great, and I don't want to discourage you, but do you want to focus more on that, on real estate? Because if you really want to make it in this business, you need to be 100% in this business. You can't try to do too many things. Everyone knows that if you try to do too many things, you're not going to be great at anything, right? So now, if you're great at something and then you decide to diversify, then it's possible, And one of the things that I did is like I really put my head down and I focused on real estate and sell. And through that, I learned a lot about, construction and development and the opportunities of doing spec homes and everything. And it's along the same lines of what we do, so I didn't really go out too much, but I started to do spec homes, right? But first, I wanted to make it in real estate as a successful agent and sell a lot, right? So don't get distracted, because a lot of times, it's a little slow, and you're like, oh, maybe I should do this and see how that goes. And if you start doing things and see how this goes and this goes, then, well, this is not going to go that well. So what this chapter explains about is what we're doing right now, right? You can surround yourself with people that know other areas better than you, right? You don't need to know all Los Angeles. I mean, I don't know all freaking Los Angeles. It's so big, it's such a big city, and although sometimes you get a call here and there and stuff like that, you really specialize in an area. When someone needs help in that area, they're going to call you for advice, or they want to bring you in a listing or anything like that. And vice versa, when you get a call somewhere else, then you have the ability to reach out to somebody in that area and then go with that person, and it will increase your chances of getting that listing or making that sale, because you bring in an expert from the area and you're not just going there pretending that you know everything, and then it won't work well. So it kind of applies to what we do, and it applies even better in a company like we have, right? Because in other companies, you don't have that ability or flexibility to go and say, hey, come here, or let's go there, or bring you in, or think, can you help me get this? And a lot of times, some agents in this company I know and I witness that they go and help another agents to get the listing, and they don't even get involved in making any commission, right? Maybe they hang their name in there, to help them, but that's what we have. So we have an amazing group in here that we can help each other and take advantage of all the strengths of each individual that is in here to make our goals. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, so Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Okay, I want to read this, because there's a part in it that says it pays to know how to purchase knowledge, right? Because I believe in exchange always, because when it's free, a lot of times whether you're getting something for free or when it's free, it doesn't have the same meaning than when you actually invest in something. So when I go to a Tony Robbins event, right, it's like a $4,000, $3,000 or whatever it costs because I like to be at the front, which is a whole different thing, right? If you're gonna go there, might as well be in the front to take advantage of the whole thing and not be all the way in the back. But by paying, now you're committing yourself to something and you want to make, sure that you take advantage of that investment that you've done, right? Same thing is with when you go to college or when you study something. And the book talks about how, I guess back in early 1900s, we had an amazing school system, and I think we still have in certain areas, right? But I guess back in the day it was different, right? And I don't know, nobody was there. In this room, I think, to tell us, yeah, it was amazing. But it's almost like people, if you have a library where you can go and get books for free, you're not gonna go. Very few people go. But if someone tells you, oh, if you buy this book, and then everybody goes and buys it. So that exchange, that means something, you're giving something in exchange for something. So the trick is to make sure that when you invest in, be conscious about that investment and how you're gonna take advantage of that investment, When I was introduced to this book, it was through another tape that I was listening and said, I bought a book for $2 that could transform in $1 million. And it was this book. That was the example for that person that, that was his experience in the book. So, this book can be worth $2, $3, $4, $5 when you go and buy it, but how much it's going to be worth when you start applying all the concepts that are here? I think it's limitless, right? How much can this be worth, Especially if it's like being a gym. So, what kind of education and experiences you have? You have your own experience and your own education, right? What you learn through your life, that's education that you have. You have the education that your parents give you. You have education that you get at school, and all that's great, but really what makes a difference, and if you study people that are very successful, they read a lot, it doesn't stop. It's not like you finish college and you're done learning. I believe that you continue to learn forever, right? And you continue to invest into yourself with books, courses, seminars, and the world's changed so much, it's so easy. How easy is to download an audiobook on your phone or download a book? It's so easy to do it, So it also gives an example in here of this guy that was working with a coach that, decided to, become an entrepreneur, and he continued to invest and learn, he wanted to learn more. He wanted to learn more about other experiences. So another thing that is very important is surround yourself with people that already done it, because that person has gone through that experience already, so you can talk to that person. That doesn't mean your experience is to be exactly the same, but there will be things in their experience that you can use, for yourself, and we do that all the time. I have a lot of friends that I call for advice. Billy is one of them, a lot of the guys in this company. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that is older or younger than me, but it's someone that maybe is going through that. And just pick their brain, A lot of times I call clients to go to lunch and just to, chat and how do you do this, right? What it takes, I have a client that has made a lot of wealth very young, and I was sitting with him and I was asking him, it's like, he's in the tech business, and I'm like, well, what happened? At what point, you remember when the idea came and you did this that you did, and I want to keep it confidential for obvious reasons. And he said, Santiago, you have no idea now the position that I am, how many brilliant kids come to my office with the most amazing ideas of apps, programs, games, or whatever it is in the technology business, tons of ideas. They're great ideas. They're probably better than my ideas. But the key is execution, right? And that's really what I think the importance of having the specialized knowledge also is combined with executing, with doing it, not just thinking about it. You know, we talked about last week. If you think too much and you sit on your couch and you're not gonna have a couch. You gotta work, you know, you gotta put the effort and the work as you are focusing on what you wanna do. So I remember sitting there, I was like, this is right, you know, I mean, everybody at some point comes up with a cool idea. But from idea to making it happen, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between, there's a lot of discouragement, there's a lot of no's, there's a lot of failure, and then the ones that keep pushing through are the ones that, oh, you made it, and we only see the success. It's like, oh, what a great idea, I should have thought about that. Well, who knows what he went through to come up with that idea, you know? So, anyone have anything to say so far? I'm a little amped this morning, so if I'm talking too much, just raise your hand or something. Okay. I didn't have coffee even. So good so far? Yeah? Do you read the story of Coca-Cola? What do you think about that? So who can tell me what that ingredient that the guy that sold the recipe to the pharmacist was, that he didn't know about? Right. And I'm going to mix these two chapters a little bit because I think they're very connected. I think they're, you know, the book starts kind of like getting all together. But it is, I mean, there was one guy that had the recipe that sold it for $500, and there was a guy that bought that recipe and look what it became. But because he had that ingredient, that was the most important ingredient. Just he could see what he could do with that. You know, he can imagine on what he can create with it. And it's pretty amazing. I mean, you know, we all know Coca-Cola. So, you have nothing to say so far? Anything about that example? Okay. So let's continue. So talking about taking action and being proactive and executing whatever ideas or plans or anything you have. There is a page, in page 45, an exercise that is really, really interesting. And a lot of this can be books, you know, it can be schools, can be books, can be universities, can be online courses, can be meetings, you know, you can put in there, I'm gonna meet with my most successful client for lunch, and I'm gonna pick their brain. So if you put that in there, you know, it's almost like a scheduling. So if you write down here those three, and it's only three, yeah. If you write down 3 places where you can go, you know, you can attain more knowledge, then it becomes real. So schedule. Next week I'm going to meet with this person, and then I'm going to go and buy this book, and I'm going to do this online course. Those 3 things, and just follow through. And that's how you start learning more, and that's how you start like developing an edge on what you do, right? So a lot of times I say to people, just go. You know, they're like, how can I fill out my schedule? You know, I just started. I was talking to Daniel the other day. And, you know, when I started, it was, you know, I was like, oh, I wish I was busy, you know, because when you have nothing to do, you're like, just sitting there and it's like, what do I do now? You know, it's like, I'm doing real estate, but what do I do? So, but if you can start scheduling in your calendar, Outlook, or whatever you use, then it becomes real. Because now you open your calendar and you see, oh, fuck, I'm busy today, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. Being busy gives you a fulfillment at the end of the day that is like, okay, from 8 to 10, I went door knocking. From 10 to 12, I was in the MLS looking at every single property in this area, how many days on the market, the dollar per square, how long the average days on the market, how many active properties are in this specific area, how many sold. I mean, if you start looking at all that stuff, I'm telling you that 2 hours are going to go like this. And guess what? When you sit in an open house on Sunday, the way it works, because now that you're doing this, now you have your goal. I'm sure you set up your goal on how many sales you want to make, or how much money you want to make, with the volume of sales and dollars that you want to make. So if you have all in alignment, or now you have the goal, you have the burning desire to do it, you're taking action, and the way how it starts manifesting itself is like you sitting in an open house. Someone is going to go in that open house and going to start talking to you about, let's use Brandon as an example, and because you spend 2 hours a day analyzing that market, that person is going to ask one question. Hey, have you seen the house on Bristol that doesn't have a pool? If you don't know it, your opportunity is going to go away. But if you actually know it, and that's why studying is important, then you're going to be like, oh, I think it's a great house. I think actually it's a good value, compared to the sale across the street or whatever. So when people see that knowledge, and then the opportunity comes, you took advantage of it, and that person likes you. And I think people, a lot of times when I do business, they're like, come on, want to do business with me. And yes, I'm a personable guy, and get attracted to that. But at the same time, they want someone that understands and know what they're doing. So they want to do business with you because they know, okay, well, I just went to 3 open houses, and there are 3 guys that are looking at their cell phone that had no clue of anything. Now I walk over here and I see a whole different level of professional. Well, hey, can you find me a house? And I got a text from someone the other day, and said, can you please help me find a house? I work with 5 different agents, and they don't understand what I want, and I made you an open house, and now we're looking for a house for that person. And it starts happening more and more and more and more. So now you see, start making a lot of sense how everything starts to get matching together, right? The goal, what you do, what you focus on, your imagination, take action, then the opportunity is going to come. Because once you're in alignment with what you want, so the universe is going to just make it work. The right person is going to come at the right time, the right timing. You're going to get in a red light, because if you didn't get a red light, you would have passed that opportunity. So every time you see something that can frustrate you too, right? It's freaking red light, I almost made it, and you get upset. It's like, well, guess what? Maybe there's a reason why you needed to catch that red light, so when you ramp in the elevator, you're going to meet that new client. And I know it sounds funny, but I'm telling you, that happens all the time. All the time. Is that the way it is? Because, it's all energy. It's all, you need to be flowing at that level to be able to connect with the people you want to connect, and to be able to achieve the goals you want to achieve. Anyone? Questions? Comments?
I have a question, but I think
I know you have a question, that's why I'm looking.
Well, it was more about doing the visualization and the meditation. Mm-hmm. Because I've been doing that, but so you have your 1-year goals, and then you have like your big, awesome, dreamy goals. When you're visualizing, are you visualizing those big dreamy goals, or are you visualizing that 1-year goal? And what just came to my head was, I think that you changed it.
Well,
or
yeah.
So you just kind of go back and forth. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes you sit down and you start thinking about the big goal, and imagining and visualizing where you're going to be in 10 years, 5 years, or whatever your long-term goal is, and just having a hard time entering into that feeling, because you got to feel it. If you imagine just for imagine, it's not. There's 2 kinds of imagination, the book says, right? So you want to imagine a mixing with feeling, because now you're feeling it, and sometimes. I sit and I'm trying to do the big goal in the morning, and I can't. So I imagine where I'm going to be for the end of the year, or Thanksgiving, or whatever, and what's going to feel like that. And so, I'm going to be Thanksgiving, I already closed these many deals, and I know I sold this listing, or whatever it is that gets you going. So you do that. It has to be something that flows easily. You shouldn't force yourself to do it. But don't confuse forcing yourself to sitting for 5 seconds and be like, oh, I can do it right now. Right? You need to put a little effort into it, and it'll happen. So just play with that for a little bit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
One thing I started doing, which seems to have opened up this great conversation, is whenever, on a Tuesday, I'm in an area and I know a lot of the neighbors, I'll call 3 or 4 or 5 of my friends and say, hey, you want to go check out this house? like Mauricio's listing last week. And you don't think they're gonna wanna do that, but they actually like, oh, I'd love to go, I wouldn't have wanted to go by myself, and now you're inviting the neighbor, do you have any friends, I want to be your neighbor, blah, 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 and you're like, you know, you're inviting them to something that you don't, it's not a big deal. But they're so excited to go. I've had like 4 or 5 really great friends go, like, I'm so excited to see that house, I'll go with you, I wasn't gonna go. And so now they're, you know, do you have any friends that want to be your neighbor? It's like, it's actually been, I've gotten a great response from them.
But you know what you're actually really doing by doing that? Who knows what she's actually doing when she's calling the neighbors and doing that stuff for the friends? Come on, guys.
I'm reminding them of what I do.
You'll have a C minus, huh?
I'm reminding them of what I do.
No,
I'm reaching out.
no.
I'm executing.
Taking action.
Okay, closer, closer. You put in energy into something. So see, that's all you can do, that's all you control. You put in that energy out there, right? And you need to feel good about it. That's why I was talking to Daniel the other day. It's like, fill up your schedule, right? Go to the gym, go in MLS, go door knocking, cold calling, write letters. You know, there's a ton of things that we can do. Call for 1 hour all my contacts and say hello, plan a lunch meeting. So you do all that, and at the end of the day, you need to have the feeling that you've done a lot. And you've done a lot. Maybe you didn't meet 5 listing, prospect listings or 5 buyers that day, but you will. But to start with, to generate that, you start putting that energy. So you go on the end of the day and say, I did a lot today, and you look at tomorrow and your schedule is full again. So then your subconscious mind is like, you're busy. You're putting that energy out there. You're doing that and you control.
Well, the house on Stradella that David and James sold, I knew the neighbor, so I brought her in. And now they're having a conversation. She calls me all the time to tell me about the neighbor and the fence. And now she knows David and James. And when she walked in, she's like, you work with these guys, this is so much fun. They have so much energy, blah, blah, blah. And they were so James was really funny, and he's a gentleman. He's like, let's go see your house. And it was just like, now it just turned into this whole other energy.
Yeah. Anyone else? Who wants? Yes.
I was just gonna say, like, you talking about putting energy out there, like, I've gotten some advice and I feel like it kind of works. Like, I do a lot of door knocking being a new agent, especially in my neighborhood. And what will happen is I'll put in 2 hours and there won't necessarily be any results in those 2 hours. But then I'll get a phone call from like a different area, like maybe someone reaching out from like Instagram. And it just feels like if you just put it out there in the universe, and again, we don't know if that works or not exactly, but it almost like helps you understand that you can't control everything. So like if you put in that effort, that's something that you can very much control.
100%. That's exactly what I meant when Monique was saying that's it.
Well, that neighbor gave me an industrial deal in Long Beach, and then now wants to buy a house in Malibu, and she's like, and you're gonna help me. So
Great.
that is a friend, but I just kept up with her, and so that was like a big deal for me, you know?
Yeah, now call more.
Yeah.
Right?
I do that.
That's because what is you stop, right? Like, oh, I did this one, and then you honestly forget about how did that. You need to analyze how each deal happened, and you start like tracking that down and do more of that, right? It's like, you know, when you do good for someone, or when you wanna, you know, you don't expect necessarily that, okay, I'm doing good for you, and then you're gonna do good for me back to the same level of what I did for you. It doesn't work that way. So you do good for someone, just do it because you want to do good and feel good about it, and it's gonna come back. You never know from where it's gonna come back, in which form it's gonna come back, but that you put out there is gonna come back to you 100%. Same as you do bad. You know, if you do bad, then that's what's gonna come back. You know, so.
Yeah, 3 times as bad.
Yes. Yes. So I want someone to tell me what the difference is between the synthetic imagination and the creative imagination. Anyone able to do that? Yes.
Synthetic is where you have an existing thought or something that happened in your past, and you're just kind of reconfiguring it into a new dream or thought. and creative is when you just come up with something completely new that's never happened.
Excellent. And then, creative is what you want to develop. And the creative imagination comes in different forms, right? Comes in a form of a gut feeling, right? You get that feeling that if you do this, for some reason you feel it's going to work out. Sometimes it can come in the form of you driving and you think about flying, right? Call him or call that client. There's a reason why you thought about it. It's not just, thoughts on, So it's a hunch, it's a gut feeling, it's stuff like that you need to pay attention to. And now that you're doing this, you'll realize, and who has already realized that some stuff you're more aware of? For instance, just you're a little bit more positive, right? Who is aware that you're starting to notice things that you didn't notice before? Right? So what happens is now you become aware of it, so now you see it and you realize, oh shit, right? Whether it's with cars or whether it's with people or whatever. So that's an indicator that you're tapping into your subconscious mind. So use it, like continue, don't get discouraged. And it's work, I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. I still struggle until now sometimes on getting back on track when I get out of track. Yes?
I think that it's, I think that's an exercise where when you start to use it, it becomes louder in your head. The more you use your feelings inside and your thoughts and your intuitions, the louder and louder and louder they become. The more you ignore them and you just let it go or just don't pay mind to it, any intuition you have, good, bad, calling, not calling, fear, being worried about someone coming into your open house that scares you, whatever. The more you listen to those thoughts, the louder and louder they become, and the less you ignore them and put them aside and just do whatever you think you need to do that second, or you don't listen to your intuition, they're quieter and you don't hear them as much.
It's like a muscle, right? The more you exercise, it grows. It's the same thing. The more you use this, the more you develop, the more aware you become. Just give your imagination some exercise, right? And that's why we do the vision board, right? That's one of the things that we're going to do, because then you're making, your brain imagine things. Imagine how you feel if you're in that situation, in that vacation, driving that car, living in that house, wearing that jacket, whatever it is, right? That it's going to get you excited about. You're starting to activate and get that to work, right? So it's important that you just stick to it. And I know I sound like crazy, like repeating about, but you have to go back every time, catch yourself. But the more you do it, the more you're going to catch yourself. With any situation, like example, this morning, which doesn't affect me at all anymore. I went to my run and I parked, and it's freaking 5:15, 5:30 in the morning, and I leave the car and I come back from my whole inspirational thing and I have a ticket. And I was like, what's tickets at this time? It's like, are you kidding me? But to me, it was a funny thing. It wasn't like oh shit, like, who gets annoyed when you get a ticket? Most of us, right? I don't anymore because I made it a game, right? I actually made that a challenge.
Yeah, that's
like, I almost, if I get a ticket, I want to see if I'm good at it now. And I literally was walking out of the water and I saw the white and blue ticket in the windshield and I laughed. I was like, fuck. But that's a perfect example of how you can train yourself on, don't get affected and know that, it's almost like a test. I just came up with this great feeling, and there is the ticket to test me if I'm gonna go this way a little bit. Not at all. It's in my desk. I just put it there. I give it to Laura. Pay it. Done. Forget it. Because if you keep it, right, if you don't pay it, then tomorrow you wake up and you go and you see it, and then again you think about it, and the day after you think about it again. What would you do that? Just pay it, and there's no getting out of it. I tried to get out of it once. And I went to freaking the office when you to get out, and I did like a 2-hour line, and I got in there, and I had to fight for getting them to remove the ticket and prove that I didn't do it, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. $25, done, next. So, yes.
I think part of that is adopting, you know, like that kind of thing. If I used to get a ticket, now I put extra money in the meter because it's the cheapest insurance you could buy. And then it's also, you get to a point where it's like, if it's something that can be fixed with a little bit of money, then it's really not a problem. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you look at the bigger picture stuff, and you know, it's annoying. You wouldn't take $65, whatever the ticket is, and throw it out the window of your car. But it's like, you know, now I get a ticket. First thing I do is I pay it, I send it, because that way you finish it, you're done with it. The same kind of thing. Or like it's part of reprogramming. Like I had this last week where the deal fall apart, and I'm going on the market, whatever. I used to go down such the rabbit hole where something would fall apart, an escrow or something. And now I do the opposite. I'm like, okay, my goal was to make this many calls today, so today I have to double it because this fell apart, so I have to do that much more to make up for it. It just completely turns your thought from and it's just a belief. It's like, oh, this fell apart, nothing ever is going to work out again. And we talk to agents about it, that they think the last deal I closed is the last deal I'm ever going to close because now I have nothing going on. But it's just about kind of keeping the momentum. And I made double the amount of calls that day, and nothing came out of it immediately. But then Monday, somebody I never would have thought of, the daughter of another client of mine, randomly called me about listing a house and buying something else, because they saw my family's holiday card at her mom's house, and one of her kids recognized my kid. It's like one of those crazy kind of things, but it's like all the things that you do, it really, you know, the people that I try to get business from, you know, is sometimes harder. And then somebody that I met once when I was selling her parents their place was like, oh, I remember you, you were doing this and you were doing that. And, you know, so it is that changing, you know, your mindset will bring those things.
And the more you do, the more aware you become. I love the fact that you said that with a little bit of money you can take care of a problem, that there's not a problem. Because that's really the concept of this. It's not about like, okay, let's make money, money's everything, money's gonna get us to where we think we're gonna be and we're gonna be happy and stuff. But it's not about that. It's about, in today's society, with money, you can develop your maximum potential. As an artist, as a musician, as a DJ, as a whatever you want to do, with a little bit of money, you can buy that equipment, you can do more, you can develop yourself more, you can eat better, you can eat healthier, you know? So it's not just, I want to have money to have money. It's, well, we live in a society that you need money, okay? So, I mean, if you don't believe in that, well, I want to hear your belief, but, and I would respect it, but the reality is like, you know, you need money to develop yourself, to learn, to experience things, you know, to experience traveling, to whatever it is that you like to do. So I like that you said that, because then there's no make more money, so we can buy those little problems.
Santiago?
Yes.
I like what you told me like a year or two ago. You said something to me like that. Like, you like to help people. Well, if you have money, you can help a lot more people. And that just really stuck with me because I never looked at it that way, you know?
Yeah. Another example that I used in the past, sorry for those that heard it already, I was working at Partners Trust in Beverly Hills, and there was a guy that had made a call, hooked up a listing appointment in Brentwood for like a $6 million house, and he comes and says, I want to go with you and help me. So yes, sure, heard the presentation and everything. We leave the office in 2 separate cars, and I just bought brand new Porsche, brand new, and I was so happy. You know, literally I had it for 2 days. I get out of the office on Wilshire and I can't remember what the street was. Went towards Olympic. I get to the corner, he's following me. I get to the corner and there's a car trying to make a left on Olympic, which is a challenge because the cars are coming this way and he wants to go that way. So it's taking a little bit, but there's room over here for me to go and make a right. So I get in there, and as I'm getting in there, she decides to change her mind. Doesn't look, backs all the way to my door. Boom! I'm like, oh! and I see that she gets all nervous, goes forward, and puts reverse again. Boom! Really hard. And all I can say is I'm sitting there, and I look at the rear mirror, and I don't know if you guys know Dominique Labriola?
Oh, yeah.
He worked with Adam Rosenfeld with that was Mercer and Vine. Really cool guy. And I see him in the mirror, and he's like, he's God, you know? So I pull over and I get out of my car and my two doors are gone. Like they don't work anymore, you know? So I get out of the car and there's this young Australian model that comes out of the car and she's shaking and she's terrified and obviously she's got to rent a car. She doesn't have a license, she doesn't have insurance, she doesn't have anything. I'm not getting paid, period. That's the thing. So what do you do at that point? And at that point I was already reading the book and I'm already, you know, and I got a little bit upset, I'm not gonna lie, but I kind of kept control of myself. And I went to Dominic and said, we don't want to be late, just go there, tell the person that this happened, I'm gonna be like 15 minutes behind. So I stayed in there, I talked to her for a little bit and to find out, right, so you have insurance, she's like, I don't know, I rent a car, it's like, you have a driver's license to take a picture so I can exchange information. She's like, no, I don't have a driver's license. And at that point I was like, you know what, just be more careful, see you later. I got in my car, I got to the appointment, and he's waiting for me, and he's all like, you okay, what? Looking at my car and the whole thing, I'm like, let's go and get the appointment. He's like, but what are you gonna do? It's like, let's go on the appointment, right? Because that's what we need to do. And it's kind of like, you know, did we talk about Kobe Bryant last week, about the example, right? It's kind of like you need to separate things, right? There's nothing I could have done getting more upset and trying to figure out, the car's not gonna get fixed in the next hour, but I have an opportunity to get a listing, so let's just continue with what the plan was. We went in, we got the listing, we walked out, I got in my car, and he comes and knocks on my window, I couldn't open it, so he opened it. And he's like, can I ask you something? Like, yeah, how is it that you're so cool about this? I'm like, well, what do I want to do? You know, I'm gonna take my car, I'm gonna get it fixed, I'm gonna pay for it. And I'm done. I mean, what are you gonna do, you know? So then I learned that if I wouldn't get upset, and I would try to get the girl or something, I probably would get that listing, right? But I got a $6 million listing, the car was fixed, they put two brand new doors, and move on with my life. So that's because I was already into this stuff. And that helped me a lot to go through those situations like that, and many other ones that happen, because it's a constant test. Constantly, and they come harder as you go, you know? So, anyone has anything to say?
I have just a little thing that I do to be more positive at work. I completely removed the word unfortunately from my vocabulary because you just start an email. You know when you have the preview of your email and you see unfortunately as the first sentence, like no one wants it in their inbox. So I've just completely removed that from my vocabulary, my work vocabulary, and then I just state fact and then I let the recipient decide how they want to receive the information. So,
Great.
thing,
Every single little thing makes a difference because opening an email with that word has a different already, you already set the tone for the email. So think about when you're writing an email and when you're reading the email too, try not to pay too much attention on those words and read the whole thing because it's already setting the tone of what that's gonna be, right? Sorry, but, or the house was really nice, but, or whatever it is, just you need to work both ways, you know, and every single thing counts. And the fact that you're doing that's great because you start changing little things. It's not one big thing. Little things that you change, you make a big difference down the road.
Also, to that extent, try not to use it and notice how many times when somebody calls you and the first thing they ask you is how are you? Is that they're about to deliver something to you that you don't want to hear. I've had so many examples of that since I've been conscious of it, and I've tried not to do that because I would even do that before delivering bad news to my client. And you know, when something, an appraisal didn't come in, the repair request came in crazy, all that kind of thing. A lot of times you just go more direct, but think about it before you call them and tell them what the issue is and already have the answer as to how you're going to solve it or a proposed plan of action. It puts them at a lot better frame of mind and will make your job easier. But once you're aware of that, I'm sorry if I just cursed you off with that, but as soon as somebody says to you, how are you? That happened to me twice this week with bad appraisal numbers, and literally the lender called and the first thing they said, how are you? And I literally said once, so how bad is it? Because I could tell like, you know, where it was going.
I have to tell you, I kind of disagree with you, and the reason is when people ask me how are you, I actually really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you for asking, I'm doing great.
I think it's a contextual thing. I think if a friend calls you and asks you about business,
do you know what I mean? I don't, or
Yeah.
whoever. I mean, you know, I kind of feel like people really don't care how you are. Actually, in this life right now, nobody gives a damn about how you are, and nobody really asks you, how are you? How are you feeling today? How's your day going? You know?
I think a different with family or
Yeah.
friends or whatever, but a contextual take like with business and clients and things like that. Like, yeah, if your sibling or your wife or your husband or whomever asks if they see that you're like in distress, but yeah, it's a greeting. If somebody says, how are you? And you start unloading all your shit on them, they're like, whoa, that's more than I was really asking.
Yeah.
I had something that happened to me last year. I showed a woman that I met through a friend a house, her and her husband. They were looking for a house up to $20 million. So I was so excited, and I showed them 1 million houses and pockets, and I thought they were for sure gonna buy from me. And they loved me, and they ended up going with the first house they saw with someone else. So that was, and I had all these ideas of who I was gonna introduce her to, because she has 4 kids too, and I have a friend from Israel who's got 5 friends. I'm like, you guys have to meet each other. Well, she was so shocked. Like 2 months later, I invited her for like Mother's Day to meet my friend who's got 4 kids, and I brought them each a little candle. And she looked at me after, and she's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe I didn't buy the house from you. You wasted a whole year. And I really liked you, but we feel so bad, but we really just went with the first house. And she's invited me to her housewarming party. Now I'm invited to all the kids' parties. She's gonna refer me business, supposedly, but it doesn't matter. I told her, like, for me, it's about relationships, right? And that's where I think I didn't let that whole year and that whole thing upset me, because I really liked them a lot, and I saw value in keeping up that relationship. So I turned it around, and I was like, let's have lunch. And I'm gonna introduce you to this great woman who she really wanted to meet, so.
I mean,
Still.
you gotta keep those relationships. I mean, unless someone did really something that is really bad, there's no reason why you should get upset and cut it off because they didn't buy one house, because that's not the last house they're gonna buy. That's not the last opportunity that you might have with those people. You create that issue. I had an issue with an agent. I actually didn't have an issue. He had an issue with me because I had taken a listing from him. And he was very upset, and he called me and he said, I done 4 or 5 deals with this family, and now you ended that and you ruined it, and I said, no, I didn't, you did. Because you called them very upset, and you let them know, and you let them have a piece of your mind that you didn't need to do. You could have just said, you know what, I had my opportunity, I didn't sell it, good luck, right? And then that person would respect you better, and they would call you again, especially if you had already a relationship with them. You chose to end it, they didn't, right? So don't get upset and just, be the bigger person. Call them back, say, you know what, good luck, I'm happy you found it, or whatever it is, and then just move on, and you'll see that that's gonna come back again, and there's gonna be other opportunities. It's not just a one-time event. It happens, they buy, sell, they get divorced, everything happens, commercial business, they might refer you friends, who knows? I got referrals from people that, they didn't buy with me. I showed them a bunch of stuff, and they're buying with another person. I know they felt bad or whatever, but I was cool, and then they refer me 2 or 3 other people. So just keep that in mind, especially in this business. All right, questions now. Did I miss anything that you read in there that was important? Because I just kind of went with, the whole thing at once. But if there's something that, kind of stuck with you and you thought was important that I'm missing, that you want to ask, or my opinion, or anyone's opinion in the room, anything that I'm missing? Did I miss anything?
This is not this thing, but it reminded me of a story along the lines of what you said, where this is probably 10 plus years ago, and I had a friend, wealthy client of mine, who I had in escrow in a house. It was like the biggest house I was selling at the time, and it was super important architectural, and we were doing our inspections, and things were really looking good, and we went to go have dinner and kind of talk about things, and we got kind of toasty, and he says, by the way, I just want to let you know I just went into escrow on another house. And I was slow as it was, so I was like trying to and I was like, well, look, I just want you to be happy. I want you, he's like, yeah, I just, I'm really sorry, this great opportunity came, and I just think I need to do this, and I'm like, well, this other house is really great. And he said, yeah, I know, but this thing seems better for me, and I said, okay, well, you need to do what's right for you, and no problem, I respect that. And we pulled out of escrow, and it was like a huge deflator. And then he closed escrow on that, and he called me up, and he said, I really appreciated all your efforts and your attitude, and he wrote me a check for $100,000. He had no obligation to do it.
Right.
And the funny thing is that, so Kurt Rappaport actually had taken him to this other property, knowing he was in escrow. And then,
Really?
I know, surprising.
Would he do that? He's not gonna be like.
But the great thing about that, I know. The great thing about that is that, so the client never moved into that house. And he said, I realize it's not the right house for me. I made a huge mistake. I should have bought that one on Baroda. And, if you see something else, I'd like, I'm looking, if there's anything, and I knew Kurt was showing him stuff.
I know this.
And so, several months go by, and every now and then I'm like, what about this? And what about that? And then I had this idea, I'm like, I know the house for you. I go, maybe you've probably seen it, maybe you haven't. And I go, have you seen this house? He's like, no, I haven't seen that house, and it looks really good. When can we go see it? I go, I don't know, I'm gonna check with Kurt, it's his listing. And he bought the house.
Yeah.
And I think there's not only the, what you put into it and how you bring it around and how you act, but also it's that fact of staying focused on, where those opportunities are. I mean, obviously he's showing, this guy houses, Curtis, it's his listing. He could have double-ended it. It literally had been 4 to 6 months he had it on the market, and he never thought of.
Wow.
Right, it was too close to him, and he was looking out there, and he wasn't really looking that he had it right there.
Right.
Wow.
How did that conversation go with Kurt?
That was fun. Yeah.
Same as my conversation with Kurt. Yes.
I think what everyone's saying here, and Billy's story and your story illustrate it really well, and I'm experiencing it a lot this year for myself, is that we give as realtors without expectation of really getting anything back. We have hope, and sometimes we make decisions that we're going to not work with somebody, and sometimes we have decisions that we're going to continue to work with somebody, and we don't know why we're going to continue to work with that person, but we do, and then that comes back to you. And for me, I'm working with somebody, I've worked with him probably for the last 4 or 5 years, written probably 12 offers, nothing's ever stuck, or he's lost, or he's pulled out, and every time I would say to myself, here we go again, here we go again. And then this year, the last 2 quarters actually, he's sent me probably $12 million in business. So you never know where it's going to come from, and you never know how, and sometimes those people that we always go, here we go again, or for me, I go, here I go again with this guy, and then it comes back.
Yep.
Well, I have someone I've been working with for 5 years since I started. I brought him to you because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, Santiago, you gotta do this deal with me. And he's like, no, they're in Venice, call Michael Brady. So Michael and I have been working with these people for 5 years. They went from Hancock Park to the Palisades to Venice to the Valley. And we were in escrow, and then we fell out of escrow, and then finally we were kind of giving up on them in the summer. I was like, how's it going? And I started reaching out again. And we literally got an email like 2 days ago, we want you guys to sell our house, because they didn't want us to sell their house because it's in the Valley. They wanted a Valley agent. And they said, we want you guys to come next week, list our house, and find us our house. Like, this is 5 years. And keeping up with them, and we were both like, ah. And on the build day, we're like, should we reach out to them again? Yeah, let's reach out to them again. And here you go, 5 years later. So.
Great. So a couple more things before we go. Keep in mind, I always think about this. If you were to hire yourself as the CEO of your business, because we run our business, we're all individuals, we're all independent contractors, right? And would you hire someone like you? Are you doing a good job or not? Can you do better? Because when you put yourself into, you hire someone that you're paying a lot of money to be the CEO of your company, right? Individually. You'll be a lot more critical of the things that they are not, that you're not doing, right? So I play that game always. It's like, oh shit, no, I'm not being that because I could have done more. I could have called more, I could have worked harder, I could have made more emails. That exercise is it's been really powerful for me. So I wanted to leave you with that because again, nobody's telling you what to do every day. So you need to create your own thing, right? And two, who's gonna do their vision boards this weekend? Who's done it already? Great, perfect. Old one or new one?
I have two right now.
When have you done?
Well, the last one like 3 months ago.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's a fun, super fun exercise. You need glue, scissors, and 10 or 12 magazines. It's like a $50 investment. Maybe the magazines are expensive now. Maybe a $200 investment.
I want to add something to that and to the last thing that you said. So like when you're, and I've been doing this, when you're thinking about first, and you're visualizing what are you looking to accomplish, right? You need to really think what that person is like that has accomplished that. And like write down those qualities and then on the daily, like am I being that person? Am I being the person that would have achieved all of that? Am I like getting my meditation in? Am I getting my workouts in? Am I eating properly? Am I making all the calls that I need to be making? And so like that's how you really grow into the person.
Yeah.
You need to be like super specific on the qualities that person that has already achieved what you're looking to achieve has, right? And are you becoming that person? Are you being that person?
Yes. The more specific you are, the more you can transport yourself in that person 10 years from now, with those feelings, with those achievements, with those goals, with everything. The easier it is because you have a very clear idea of who you want to be and what you're going to be feeling at that moment. And the more you can hang there, visualizing, the faster that's going to happen for you, for sure. All right. Thank you, guys. See you next week.